There's no question that a father's impact on the life of his child can be tremendous, either positive or negative. A father can help guide his child into a successful career in life and one that is productive in his community, but also his negative influence or his absence of presence, the father that is, can also have a tremendously adverse effect on the life of a child. And of course, the narrative for years and years and years about black fathers has been one about black men ain't involved in the lives of their children. Black men don't do nothing. You know, they make the babies, but they can't take care of the babies. When in fact, that is not the case. So a few years ago, my best friend and I, Reverend Stewart Perrialliat, got together to produce a documentary film called The Gift of His Presence. But then COVID hit and we didn't have a chance to finish the film. So we kind of got stuck. So we said, you know what? Meanwhile, we're not going to let another year go by without having a chance to at least let you see some of what we worked on. So I wanted to put together just a short edit, a mini director's cut, if you will, to get a chance for you to take a look at what the gift of his presence is all about. We hope this blesses you.
Fatherhood is more than just being a dad. Anybody can be your dad. Fatherhood is nurturing. Fatherhood is exploring with your children, teaching them, growing with them. We grow together as a unit. Having your child to emulate you, seeing your child in you. I saw Trayvon in me. I see my 6-year-old in me. I see my kids in me because I've instilled so much in them.
How did my father impact me as a film director, actor, writer, producer, whatever? I'm a perfectionist. It's never quite good enough. As a child, your father is the first man you know. And who they are and what they do impacts your life forever.
So when you say father, the first thing comes to mind is modeling love, sacrifice, being an example, protection, guidance, discipline, finding this line between what true masculinity is and yet being sensitive.
So healthy masculinity as it pertains to fatherhood, I think is honestly very similar to simply what we think about as good parenting. I think part of what happens is we adjudicate, say, what it means to be a mother and what it means to be a father. And instead, what we need is to have fathers who are engaging in healthy masculinity, which simply means engaging in everyday activities that children can see and that women can see that we know that matter. And I think part of what it means to be healthy and masculine and have a healthy masculinity is being able to express one's emotions through communication, through love, and in ways that actually lead to a healthy outcome.
When I think about, the greatest gift I ever received from my father, it is his capacity to be emotionally vulnerable. Sometimes you'll receive a gift at a time in your life where you're not prepared to really open it or unpack that gift. When my father and my mother separated, I remember him sitting me down and just telling me about the dynamic that was changing in the household, and then he just literally broke down. Even back then, I didn't interpret that as weak. I interpreted that as man, he really loves us and he's really hurt that his family is being destroyed. I believe it's important for men to express themselves in the full range of our emotions.
There's a principle that we've underestimated in American culture, which is the effect of a father in the home with children. What is the impact? And there's something that comes to mind for me. It's called a handprint. A father's handprint is his thinking, his characteristics, his principles for life. And the children have to be wrapped in that handprint. They have to feel and experience their father's love and attention and direction. And without it, chaos.
I'm 39 years old, charged with manslaughter, shooting habitated dwelling for the killing of my stepfather. At the time of my arrest, I was 20 years old. I really had no direction. I had no skills. I was just trying to find my way. Since then, I've graduated seminary with two diplomas. I've learned the skills of a carpenter, electrician, a bricklayer, a welder. I've become a youth minister, a youth mentor, a licensed minister, a husband.
Fathers projecting positive moral values to the children by their behavior is very, very important. Because if you say one thing, but your behavior actually mirrors something different, it becomes a lie in a certain sense. And they say, well, you're telling me to do this, Dad, but you're not really doing it yourself.
My father was one of the calmest, coolest people I'd ever known in my life. He never raised his voice. My father would sit you down and say, you know you're not supposed to be riding your bike on the street, right? I'm on the sidewalk, I told you. Yeah, Daddy, we understand that. But you understand that you disobeyed my orders, right? Yes, Daddy, but you get it, right? We get it, Daddy. And we would think, it's over. We'd say, you understand? Yes, he said. Now go in the backyard and get me a switch. He was a person who was preparing you for the life you were gonna face. He wasn't allowing you to be good at what you did. He said, if you can do it better, do it better.
Well, it was devastating not having a father growing up, and it was particularly devastating because my father was a high-profile individual in the Washington metropolitan area, and living less than 30 minutes away from him and seeing him on television and hearing everybody rave about him, but not having access to him really impacted me as a person, and it created a level of insecurity and it really created a level of anger. And so what I detail in the book is my younger years and how I responded to his absence, and how this seed of bitterness evolved into outrageous behaviors as an adolescent, being suspended from school, almost being expelled from school. Then before I knew it, I was 20 years old, discovering that I was going to be a father without any training.
You have kids having kids. So the young guys, they having a kid when they 17, 16 years old, yeah, they don't know how to do that. They're not mature enough to do that. Then you gotta take this 17-year-old that just had a kid. You don't know how that's gonna change you. Sitting at home with a crying baby, giving him a bottle, changing his diapers, and then gotta take him to school every day, do the things like that, keep around him, stay around him all the time, because you wanna be out on these streets. You wanna go out. On Saturday nights when you're 21 years old and your friend calling you talking about, man, come on, let's go do this, but you got a baby and you ain't can't get no babysitter because you ain't got no money to keep the babysitter, who do you put them on? On the grandmother. Babies is having babies. And then by the time they're 30 and then their kid is 15, they hanging out with them. Treating them like they buddies, like they the homies.
None of my friends had a father. I really didn't know what I was missing. I can't think of any friend I had growing up that had a father. So it was all women in my life and their life. So I would have a desire, because I know this guy is not there. And my aunts would ask me, what are you gonna say when you see your dad? I don't know. I don't know what to say, but the tone you're giving me is that I should say something to him, and something that I should have some negative to say, but I never really had a desire for him at the time, so I really didn't know really what I was missing.
I didn't realize that having a father in your life was a special thing. You would go to school and people didn't know who their fathers were. And I would think, what? Everybody knows who their dad is, so you're just saying that. But the reality was some people did not know. So the fact that not only did I know who my mother and father were, but I lived with them was different for little black boys growing up in Philadelphia in North Philly. I never saw it as this badge of honor that I had this thing that nobody else had. So in that respect, and that my dad was present.
I think the conversations about fatherhood and manhood are not always honest. We don't always talk about our vulnerabilities, especially when we've been labeled a good father, right? We don't talk about, the feelings of what if this doesn't work out? What if everything that I'm sharing or whatever I'm trying to do doesn't work out? Then what? Does it mean you suck as a father, or are circumstances just what they are, and those things hurt.
Life skills itself, how he taught me how to communicate with people. That's one of the first core values that I taught my kids, how you communicate, how when you see your friends' parents, how you say, yes, sir, yes ma'am, no sir, no ma'am. And that goes a long way in life.
I believe one of the key components of a father is a coach, a life coach. Somebody who can pour into your son, kind of navigate him, teaching them integrity, giving them some life skills that's going to help guide them, instruct them, integrity, wisdom, to be able to give them wisdom. I believe if they didn't have money, if they had wisdom, they can earn the money.
One of the biggest gifts that a father can give to his son, especially an African American father, to his African American son, is the gift of his presence. Being physically present and being physically active in that child's life. Not just being present, but being interested in the things that the child is interested in, and also sharing with the child the father's own range of experiences and opportunities to help broaden the child's own perception and worldview.
What do I think could change our culture if more fathers were involved with this? I don't think it's just fathers. I think it's men, period. Just let them be with us. There's nothing like my grandsons. I have nephews now that are in their 30s, married, and what have you. When they see Uncle Sam, they're gonna hug Uncle Sam and they're gonna give me a kiss on the cheek. Now, I jokingly say, I don't know what they do with my brothers, but I used to take a week out of my life and take my nephews up in the mountains to a friend of mine's place. He taught my nephews how to water ski. We hiked mountains together because, see, I already knew this. I could pay now by spending time with them, or I could pay later by going to visit them. I ain't going to visit.
Fathers that are trying to be good fathers, that have not had great examples of fathers, they can still be great fathers by learning what they did not appreciate from their fathers. I look back at it growing up and I say, okay, what did I not like about what my father did? How could I be a better father? And so what I do now is I make a point to be at every one of my son's games. I don't care what's going on. I put him on the calendar just like anything else.
To me, love is strength. Love is power. It's not this weak thing that we've been misled to believe. And so I try to instill that idea in, the mind of my son, my youngest son. Now when we talk about love, my love comes with firm hugs and handshakes. And, sometimes it comes with, him just want to lay on my chest because he's still a baby boy, and I want him to have the freedom to be a baby boy.